Today, Rinpoche completed the second volume that begins the explanation of the teachings for beings of great capacity. Basically, Rinpoche said the pith is generate the mind that aspires to enlightenment and then practice the 6 perfections. That is how you achieve your aims and others. Okay. It's 227, right? Is where that heading is. Okay, so Jipja, Druchu, Druje. Jipja, Druchu, 60. Jit.
If he wants to go back, it would be a somewhat elaborate explanation. And we actually did go through to working at the ancient people.
Jeba she. Ngapa, Jepa Sheba. Kabiare, Ragendis, Jipja. Chikshena the Gonchi, Jipja Druchu Drusum. Good Sogudu, Gongam Mepchi. Ngapa, Sum. Jipja Druchu Dru Sum. Dene ngapa ni nyen mala ni le I show you. That's good. Data yin.
Yeah.
The death's tree sar yene the yanja deaths.
Okay.
Dene chichena tearing the tsar.
Yeah.
Becha nipa. Injike becha sum. Tearing it sampa becha nipa tsar.
Okay.
Then a latung later.
Ta laril danga su chibi chungu landing la chibi chibi la. Sonje cha chibi chungu la de chandu da le de. Dendul hadamal che yitin bare. Tene ndil habason tabal de chibi chibi la ni sha chu sa de shindu. Saji sal.
Less so. Okay, so we're going to begin on page 227 in the English, a somewhat elaborate explanation. So that's where we're going to start from. So if we were to divide all of the teachings of Buddhism, one could divide them into 3 categories. Those categories are the teachings for beings of 3 capacities. So the first capacity are the teachings called the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity. And these are teachings which lead one to the higher realms of cyclic existence. So this is the first category of teachings, those teachings which lead to a better rebirth in one's next life and higher realm rebirth. So one achieves that through practicing refuge, going for refuge to the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and engaging in the ethics which abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities. So in dependence upon those practices, one is able to achieve higher realm rebirth. The next category of teachings are the teachings shared in common with beings of medium capacity. And these are teachings for beings who wish to achieve nirvana, wish to achieve their own individual liberation. And they do so in dependence upon practicing the 3 highest higher trainings, the highest higher training in ethics, highest higher training in concentration, and the highest higher training in wisdom. So these are what's called the teachings shared in common with beings of medium capacity that lead to individual liberation or nirvana. The final category, the teachings for beings of great capacity, are for those beings who wish to achieve complete Buddhahood. And these teachings contain the ways in which one generates the mind that aspires to enlightenment, bodhicitta, and then from there, the practice of engaged bodhicitta, through the 6 perfections. So in dependence upon generating bodhicitta and the 6 perfections, one is able to achieve Buddhahood. So this is a way that one can categorize all of Buddha's teachings, whether they lead to higher realms, whether they lead to an individual liberation, or they are meant to lead to complete Buddhahood. Diso. And that's cool. And as a translator's note, this word in common is used, teaching shared in common, because they are necessary practices for the ones above them also. So the great has to practice the small and the medium as well. It's inferred that it's contained within it. So that's why we use that shared in common word. Diksung Rinpoche.
Ta jen la chwe bi zo de heba ma gu res. Hema la ni les. Jiden ju chu dan thwe bi hema ne chuni me ji yin ji dan se wa zomba ho tu dan de kando wala so ba jiden ji chu ji si je na gar je ba wos gar je ba jiden chu de heba ma tambu do de res da 당아 저 계셔 시들드네 네 로마 람바 진 계셔 해보 셔고레스 칸도와
Loma Lampa? Sina?
노예
Okay, tuche.
뭐도 단테 칸도와 라스바 지den지 수지 시제나 가셔 봐고스 계셔 해보 셔는 가버지그로 야다비 덴바단 덴비 해만네 다비 대바데미 해만네 대바도 수진다 퇴바도 동안다 싫어 이제 봐 수레장네 펜바다 디셔도 펜바 디셔도 세절로 최든 보고 세절로 펜비치도 최든 봐 이나 어때 최든 뒤빈 해봐 마와드레스 라스베비 달라 쮸메비 센지 펜비 티조바단스 수수비 다들레드네 계절 해보시 워레스 산지 펜비 시조바다 어버신도 뚜어라 이 제범해봐 조아탄도 라네 네 취지 땅죄지 거안제도 조바다 세 유진라 카나마도와 로소라 로신 로주 제발라 세다메바 펜비 치 제비 네바마 치 까와나라 나라야 로바다 주마메발라 제바봉바다 던도제비셔도 나도 샤유 추 진바당 추진 당시바 추진 당시바 네 주미바 제바 제이 시제도 와도 된발라 야다바 피지 추파비 된바지 된바 침바더라도 쇼유 네 바메바 나라 바유 그비셔 로아다 특종쇼 남 세이셔도 최체진 배당시바네 해봐 마요 고스 다가다와데 최시제들레 계전 해보시는 시고라서 어떤 데서
Okay. So we'll begin looking at the text, a somewhat elaborate explanation. There are two types of pleasant speech. The first pleasant speech, associated with worldly customs, means that you first assume a clear expression, free of anger, give a smile, and then please living beings in worldly ways, such as inquiring after their health. The second type of pleasant speech, associated with presenting the perfect teaching, means that you instruct living beings in the teaching for their benefit and happiness, beginning with the teachings on developing faith, ethical discipline, study, generosity, and wisdom. So here it begins saying that there are these two types of pleasant speech or nice speech. And one is that when you're helping sentient beings or you're trying to be beneficial or you're engaging in worldly affairs, speaking in a soft, gentle, nice way that is pleasing to living beings' ears so that when they hear it, it sounds nice. So literally this Gechen, this word in Tibetan doesn't mean, the word in Tibetan literally means like talking nicely, using sweet words in a way. And then the second type is specifically associated with giving the teaching, and it's saying that one should utilize this same way of presentation when giving the teaching, so it's easy on the ears, so the practitioner and the participants like to hear what you're saying. And it says the second type, pleasant speech associated with presenting the perfect teaching. So again, that when we say this pleasant speech, we're making an assumption that it is free of anger and so forth. So when we kind of qualify what pleasant speech is, one of the qualifications is that it's free of anger. So the second part about the teachings, when one is speaking in a pleasant way, it's attractive to the student. So the avenues of pleasant speech are as follows. To an enemy who would kill you, you say helpful words without a fault in your heart. With the dull-witted, you willingly rise to the challenge, tirelessly giving talks on the teaching and giving them to adhere to virtue, and causing them to adhere to virtue. To devious beings who deceive their masters, abbots, etc., and engage in wrongdoing, you speak pleasantly with helpful words and without anger, teaching even the most difficult persons, in order that persons whose minds have not matured may eliminate obscuration and be reborn in happy realms. You give discourses to them on preliminary practices, generosity, and ethical discipline. To persons whose minds have matured, who are rid of obscuration and possessed of a joyful frame of mind, you reveal the foremost and perfect teaching of the Four Noble Truths. You encourage householders and renunciates who are careless to be conscientious, and to those who have doubts you speak elaborately and explain the teaching to them to dispel their doubts. So here it's stating that not only is the perfect teaching have to do with tone and so forth, the perfect pleasant speech related to the teaching have to do with tone and so forth. It has to do with the actual presentation of the material itself, so that it encourages others because of the way that it's been presented. So it says, to persons whose minds have matured, who are rid of obscuration and possessed of a joyful frame of mind, you reveal the most perfect teaching of the Four Noble Truths. You encourage householders and renunciates who are careless to be conscientious, and to those who have doubts you speak elaborately. So here, not only is the way that you're the tonality being presented here, but also the way that it's structured, so that it encourages, so that it is something which is faith-inducing. And I believe that was it. Yeah, I don't have any notes other than when talk, nice. So I think we covered that. Khensur Rinpoche.
Longshu na drupa dang, songwa dang, pi shi ta chue dang, tunpa she tu juba wo sa. Ta dang wote, ta su su jala nama dang wote, su nga chue dang tunpa jin nyala je wu res. Longshu na drupa dang, songwa dang, pi ta chue dang, tunpa she ba wo. Tse shimi dang do, tse shimi dang do juba ne, Seshime dudun juba na longshu pon ne lomi yu tu rajun la ngo ba des. Seshime yu tu ne and Juba ne Longshue Pon ne Lomi Silo Ngaso de
The Donagare.
Jala Homajagan Euro, the Nalkala Cherry Landigan Euro, or the Lomi Longshue Pon ne Lomi Chu Rajun Lango Basa, and the Lomi Chu Jenda Tabat Anichiat and Jewars Rajun Lango Bade. De Shemala Dwang Jang Der Mangasos, Shemal Dwa Younger, the Sendel Nabayo Mares Mangaso. Sendeshiniga Niki Tonto Juba ne Chimba Rajula Jiden Batan Jiden Le Devi Chade Zinto Juba, Chade Zinto Juba Jiden be Chabatan Tewa, Numuraba. Jiden Devi Chabat Jawata, Tonglong Kolong to the Jerota. Then the la Le Saint de Jamba Jebatans, Tagonjan, Dingan, the temperature on what the Le Shenjan and Saint Shenjan, Julie Jomorda, Le Shenjan and Zobaji Long Sabajlen. Zobel Jibin was a tea Dutch Saint Jibin was at Saint de Jamba Jelas. Shaman number Tabi Ladan. Yangal Lendeba to be shares, Jawa Shamale, and the Latan Yangal Nebukumu to be shadow, Tensheba, Che, Kawala, and Judes, and Gaza Masabala, Gawan Zetu Jubas, Gawan Zetu Juba, Lonshu Pensun, Suba Chamber Jane Nana, Pamebe, Jichembula, Nembe. Tadala Tensheba Kawana Mediji Tawa Gomba Nana Tembala Dada Danshin Lumbi Reba Mogu Tadala Tensheba Kawus and Medigi Tawa to what Swanjile and Gabajan or the Nation or the Tenshu de Cabares Kawu or the Kalej.
Chishin, yeah. Mambo.
Yeah.
Then Rinpoche, ngai chua yure. Then Tambo, the Ewa ni yure.
Yeah.
Then Ewa tsum. Tambo nipa sumba. Nipa dondagare. Then ngai the Ragian ditsko. I have a question to clarify. Bear with me, folks. Need elevator music.
Anga Kabadu.
Ngiragi and Discorum Chickling and Cheek. 465. It starts being here. Mende Sumle the De la Sumle Se di dun Sendu
Jubanes.
Sonwa
Sonle Sendi Jubane, Longshun Sonwada, Jubata Sonwada, Be Sher Tau Chudon Tubaje Ure, Song Dambaje.
Nipa. Nipa the
Never Sendi Dundo, Tenzin to Jubane, Longshu Pone, Humitu Rajula, Gobatas. Never Sendi. Tenzin to Juba, Sendi, Tenzin to Juba, ne, Longshu Pone, Azichala, no, Manabaje, and the Humijan, Tuaji, the Yoroa.
Then they Magenda Gecheshe the Drapa J Yapuldu Ani J Yapuldu the Donda Ngatsu Susur
Seshime Tenzin Juba, ne, Longshu Pone, Humitu Rajun Langobas. That was the children of the Tabata Anjane,
Yapuldu.
and what is Sayathan, Hana, Jena Abures, what is one thing said.
Okay, so working at the aims is twofold: bringing the immature to maturity and liberating the mature. Then the ni the shiji dang nguji pacha Rinpoche? Okay, so when we look at things that keep us from becoming liberated or enlightened, there's two categories. We have the afflictive obstructions and the obstructions to omniscience. As a note, the afflictive obstructions keep one from one's own liberation, and the obstructions to omniscience keep one from complete Buddhahood. So they have to be eradicated if you want the goal that those are keeping you from. So working at aims is twofold: bringing the immature to maturity and liberating the matured. It is also presented in three parts as follows. Then Rinpoche, Vini, Danshe, Seshima, Lomshu, Mempana. Vini, Kavir Shida, say names. The dun shu ne the ni dondagare.
Mami badu meba sheba, ju meba zo ures. Meba na, nyoma badu sheji jebal joa, ne wade je ures. Joa sheba wo she, niso.
So tambo
la son le.
Nyudri. Nipa shidri. Ponkan. The tambo. Dunshu.
Meba sheba da, meba joa sheba nije. Mami sheba da la son.
Mipa.
Mami sheba da la son. Sendi dun juba nes. Sendi dun juba no lonshe no son.
Did selbudu. The ni selbu yomani.
Ta chödan tönba. Tönbe shedu juba os. Tseshimi dun juba ne. Tseshimi dun juba no lonshe bon ne. Lama tsuyi rajon langwa bas. Tseshimi dun dal ne. Ane lonshe bon ne. Jabata ane je ne. Ane tsuwa loma je ne. Lana tsuwa je ures. Lama tsuyi rajon langwa ba de. De shema dawa nga jang sende se shema dawa yongore sende nga ba yo mares der manga so sende shinye gi do joba ne sende dan se shema nye gi do joba ne chimba ra jong la jiden ba dan jiden le debi chaden zen jobas Chenmo rajunla jiden libe chaden zedu jobas den tsedala le sen shindu jamba jelas le sen shindu jamba jelas shema nabatabil hadan yangal ne batu bishiros tsedale den le sen shindu jamba jela shema la Shimala,
Nabata Shijang.
Hayu Gobon Togre, Yangal never Taba Togres, Taba Toba Tubi Sheros, Tubi Shero. Tensheba Chi Gawa La Jobanes, Hungasa Masabi, Gawa Zedu Juba Gawa dance, Gawa Zedu Juba Gawa dance. Longje pension soba jena ne ba me bi Chenmo richi na de ba me bi Chenmo ne chu do kale khabres Chenmo la ne be tada la den sheba gawa dans den sheba do de chu ne chu de kale khabres
That's so.
Medi je tawala gomba na ne tembala dansins Medic dollar conduit, and the Swaji Temple Magab Chigres. Dancing, Lumbi, Riba, Moguyus, and the Kulbashina, Lumber, Ribashina Kumaris, Moguyu, Tadala, Tenshuba Kawusa. The Sherubatan to Tenshu to Galikabres.
Okay, decent.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to clarify at this where it says working at the aims is twofold. Just trying to clarify if bringing the immature to maturity was referring to allowing those to achieve an individual nirvana, the afflictive obstructions, and then liberating the matured, those who have removed the afflictive obstructions, then showing how to remove the obstructions to omniscience so that they can become a Buddha. As a translator's note, a practitioner can achieve nirvana but still not be a Buddha because they are abiding in a nirvana but still have obstructions to omniscience, which are imprints of the afflictions. The imprints are still left over, so it obstructs them from being omniscient. So they then have to do the practices still, even though they are in nirvana, to then remove those obstructions to omniscience. So I believe that's where we kind of what we established, that these two are referring to those afflictive obstructions and obstructions to omniscience. It is also presented in three parts as follows. Involving persons in taking up the aims of this life is causing them to employ means consistent with the teaching to acquire, to protect, and increase their resources. So this is helping helping another person in terms of their worldly aims. So it's basically it's like a role model almost, being showing others goodness, showing others what goodness is, basically, by being helpful. The next is involving others in taking up the purpose of future lives, means to establish persons in the life of a renunciate who lives as a mendicant after they have rid themselves of possessions. Although this is certain to bring happiness in future lives, it is not certain to do so in this life. So this is encouraging renunciates and so forth, and recognizing that Buddhism begins when it's focused on future lives. The Buddhism's teachings never were, the goal was never happiness in this life. The teacher said, as a translator's note, it doesn't become Buddhism until it's focused on future lives. Byproducts happen, you're happier in this life and so forth. More people respect you as a result of being a good person. But these are byproducts, not goals. So here this is encouraging the actual goal, which even though could cause difficulty in this life, will have excellent results in future lives. So here this is encouraging. I asked Rinpoche if this is establishing one's own self or encouraging others, and he said that it is referring to others, establishing, helping. Involving persons in taking up the aims of both this and future lives means to cause householders and renunciates to take up the freedom from mundane and supermundane attachments. So here, attachments to worldly things, and then also giving up attachment to non-worldly, attachment to Buddhahood, attachment to nirvana. So mundane and supermundane. For this generates mental and physical pliancy in the present life and the attainment of a purified deity and nirvana in the future. So when one practices single-pointed concentration, it leads to, which is part of this package of pleasant speech in relation to teaching. So when one practices the teachings after they've been appropriately presented, one achieves single-pointed concentration, which leads to calm abiding. And this calm abiding, when achieved, causes a mental and physical pliancy or bliss, because the winds within the body change when calm abiding is achieved. And by changing those winds, this causes a pliancy or a bliss that stays once that achievement is there. And then it becomes very easy to direct one's mind wherever one wants to or wishes to, in any way one wishes to, and one's body becomes very pliant and easy to sit for long periods of time and engage in the necessary things for Buddhahood. Perfect deity. Work at the aims even when it is very difficult. It is difficult to induce those who have not previously accumulated roots of virtue to take up virtue. It is difficult to work at the aims with respect to those who have magnificent resources because they live in situations where there are so many grounds for being unconscientious. And it is difficult to work at the aims with respect to those who are indoctrinated with the views of non-Buddhist philosophers because they are hostile to the teaching, and because of their foolishness they do not understand reasoning. So it's just showing how certain types, it's not saying, as a note, it's not saying don't help those. It's pointing out that you may have difficulty with these types. If, as a Buddhist, you're trying to present these things we're talking about, here are some problems that you'll have. And in Buddhism, there is no such thing as like proselytizing. It's not part of the religion. It's based on using logic and not presenting anything to someone that is beyond what they already know and just haven't put together yet. Nghe Tsampa Diksung Rinpoche.
Shimi shiro jen la Toma Layu Danga Shiro Chuchua Dozul Dombo de Chu Nyunyu Lagures Danga La Ju Tene Din to Suana Dingi Tene Dombo Chibi Chungu Landa Tene Shiro de Chibilezuna Dingi La Den Gures Dingi Danga
Rimbo
Shiro Jachembo Suana Chu Samudan Danga Chamo Juba Shiro ya Shiro Chibishasuna and Chu Samudomanila Sobo to Sitan Gures Danga Chamula Jubra Shedo Tuntumba ne Haru Ganla Gomba Dedan Tsomba Laba Rang Nebashi Sheba Wosa. Tuntumba said the Jela de Churon Jimbanyalan Chegos, London, Susu Jimbanyalan Chegures, Tuntumba Sheba Wo. Tadana Toma Jeji Sentient Jitula Mine Samba Jendun Mateba Gojan Ju Ran Dugudes then Tayeba, Tubales, then Tayeba Tubale, Gaji Rani La Mojinto, Riba Demba, Tsimayan, Rangi Tsidan Gewashebe, Jenda Dua Chidun She, Chuji, Gune, Le, Duatada, Tula, Janzene, Regidani Mangu, Wani, Duanzede, Zumbalazos, what did Damadi Konding Zamarva?
Decent.
Shesos.
Okay. With respect to the stages of working at the aims, you first cause those with childlike intelligence to follow easy instructions. Then, when their understanding has reached a middling level, you have them follow intermediate personal instructions. Finally, when their wisdom has greatly expanded, you have them follow the profound teaching and subtle personal instructions. So here, again, we're in the section of 4 ways of gathering disciples, or the word gathering is very strange. It's basically the 4 modes of behavior a teacher has in relation to his or her disciples would be in order to have a good relationship. I mean, that would really be a better way to explain what the meaning behind the words is, and how to take that relationship from the beginning of just meeting a student to the final stages where they're becoming enlightened. So here, what this is in relation to would be the teachings for beings of three capacities. So those are presented in a graduated stages fashion. So first you have the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity, and you give that presentation. And then once that's mastered, then the teachings for shared in common with beings of medium capacity are presented in detail. And then once those are understood, then the teacher brings the student to the teachings for beings of great capacity. So this would be an example of the graduated stages that are being spoken of here, because the teachings for beings of three capacities, when given an extensive format, present things in this very way, from very beginning understandings up to the final understandings and the subtle understandings of calm abiding and special insight in this next volume that I'm terrified to translate. Digson. Oh wait, Detsuko. So I'm going to reread this. With respect to the teachings of working at aims, you first cause those with childlike intelligence to follow easy personal instructions. Then when their understanding has reached a middle level, you have them follow intermediate personal instructions. Finally, when their wisdom is greatly expanded, you have them follow the profound teaching and subtle personal instructions. Consistency of behavior means that you maintain practices equal to or superior to those in which you establish others. Accordingly, even though in whatever you do, you must first focus on the welfare of living beings and not lose your resolve for others' welfare, you must discipline yourself in conjunction with these pursuits. So if you are telling others to behave in a way, a specific way, and stating these are ethical behaviors and this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, then you yourself should be following those same practices. In a way, and it says here, it even says equal to or superior. So it doesn't even say you could be equal to what you're presenting. You don't even have to be better than, but you have to be presenting. You have to be walking the walk, walking the talk, if you will, behaving in a way consistent with what you're saying to do. So equal to or better than those you are presenting it to. So one is not a hypocrite or being hypocritical. Then it says you must discipline yourself in conjunction with these pursuits. Triratna Dasa's Praise of Infinite Qualities says, some who are undisciplined use reasonable words but contradict these words, so they are called unable to help others to discipline themselves. Knowing this, you placed all living beings in your heart and strove to discipline yourself wherever you had lacked discipline before. So here it's saying that those who are contradict what they've presented really can't help anybody. But those who've modified their behavior are the appropriate presenters of the information. Digsung Rinpoche, ngay tsampa.
Doa jen, doa ranju meje, pashin tuton, jenju meje, duyu ngopu je. Doa jen, sanzen ki doa dan, chuji doa nisu duyu nukres. Sanzen ki doa te jimba desi, jimba. Jimba tamba yina, ane sanzen kun duyu nukres. Tambo, jimba tambo yinla. Lama sonne tenshe ten tun dan, wa te sonne, chuji du bizos. Te yang mi bi chu dan, du bi chu dan, te du shi bi chu de. Sanzin ta chu ji de. maybe chula subayi doa ni ji gune ne doa ngo be jeshi do amado doa je kong de zero kong shesos de du son ji chansen du son ji chansen tan ji ji jen dun je ju yin be doba ji bi la yin des doa je de debe shangju samba data yi shangju samba maung shangju samba zoge yendun jebe wade cu yinbe droba jibi lang res droba jibi lang yinde dowa dan duba dan jowa dan du dan duba jowa dan du dan duba jowa dan kanda data du sheba tekun tanda tata yu dene sentient meje le sheso meje lang shesos kale juna
Okay. The 4 ways to gather disciples also comprise 2 categories: gathering disciples via material things and gathering disciples through the teaching. This is, as a translator's note, where I think that the wording starts to, in English, it sounds almost like bribery, and it's not intended to sound like that in the Tibetan at all. It's just showing the kind ways a teacher relates to his or her students. In this gathering, I think it's maybe this predisposition we have to the scandals that have happened as Westerners and so forth, then that this looks strange to us, and maybe it wouldn't look strange in another culture or culturally, but it doesn't infer this kind of gathering up disciples and getting more and more. There's just no thought or context here. And it kind of displays that in the English a bit, and anytime I see that, I always want to just uncolor it a little bit, so that what's really meant to be presented is what's being presented, and you don't just leave with this idea that it's a strange cult. If it's the first time you were in this room, you might think like, oh, well, it's bribery. Am I going to get some money at the end? So anyway, and as a note, you'll see this Rinpoche actually practicing all of these things here that are presented in his life, and Ted, who lives with him, can attest 100% to that. So I apologize for it's just whenever I see anything like that, I always like to help clarify it. So giving material things is the first of the 4 ways to gather disciples. The remaining 3 or 4 ways are included in the second, gathering disciples through the teaching. Furthermore, this latter category includes the teaching of the objects of meditation, the teaching as put into practice, and the teaching of purifying oneself in practicing these 2. The ornament for the Mahayana Sutras says, by Lord Maitreya, the 4 ways to gather disciples are asserted as 2 ways of gathering by material things and by the teaching, which means presenting the objects of meditation, etc. Moreover, these 4 ways to gather disciples are the way all the bodhisattvas of the 3 times, bodhisattvas of the past, present, and future, work for the welfare of others. So it is the single path to travel. The ornament for the Mahayana Sutras states, so it's stating that the bodhisattvas of the past, present, and future have relied on this way of relating to their students, and they have become Buddhas, or will become Buddhas. So because of practicing it in the same way that those who have already become Buddhas did. All those who have gathered disciples are gathering or will gather them, do so in this way. Therefore, this is the path for the maturation of living beings. So here, and again, this is in a section where the assumption is that one has bodhicitta. One day and night thinks of bringing sentient beings to happiness and the causes of happiness and being free from suffering. So this whole process is of figuring out how to mature beings, meaning take them from the state that they are currently to Buddhahood. So ways to remove suffering of others is really what the context here of gathering disciples is really figuring out how to remove the suffering of students is really what's meant in here. In general, then, though the bodhisattva deeds are limitless, the 6 perfections and the 4 ways to gather disciples are their best summation. Rinpoche, the Chukaba Kasung. Sheso, okay. Rinpoche only read the quote. Digsung.
Tatala Shansan Shoba la Tai, Shansan Yang Shoba de la Mamu Yores.
Leso.
Tak Kechowa de Raju Meja Passion to the Janju Meja Duyung of Jeteres.
Leso.
Duji Yinte Shansan la Ranki Sanjiji Jutu Meba Shawadan, Senji Ju Meba Shawaniles, Raju Meja, the Janju Meja Nile, Mela,
Denny Parshin.
Denny Pashin Dan, do you do Bisharosa? Denny Janju Meja Pashin to Dan, Janju Meja doing opposite to do this.
Leso.
Tedayang Susung was in Shanzales.
Leso.
Paru to Shimba Najine. Dag Sanjiji, Chu also, Pimper Shadow. Do Ngobanaji, Sentient Taji also Pimper Shade. Do na Shanju Samba Naji, Gi Chu Naji, Lan de Yimbe, de Yimba, Riba Shawos, Shezos. Takan de Shanju Samba Lemon de Passion to the doing opposite stories. What is one thing about?
In general, then, though the bodhisattva deeds are limitless, the 6 perfections and the 4 ways to gather disciples are their best summation. For bodhisattvas have just 2 tasks, the maturation of causal collections for their own Buddhahood and the maturation of the mind streams of living beings. So there are 2 goals. One, to bring oneself to Buddhahood, and the second goal, to bring others to Buddhahood. And they are equally important to the bodhisattva. There isn't one more important than the other. They're interdependent. So for bodhisattvas just have 2 tasks, the maturation of causal collections for their own Buddhahood and the maturation of the mind streams of living beings. They accomplish both of these through the perfections and the ways to gather disciples. Thus the bodhisattva levels also says, the perfections bring to complete maturation the Buddha qualities you will have yourself. The ways to gather disciples bring all living beings to complete maturation. In some know these to be the active expression of a bodhisattva's virtuous qualities. Therefore, I have set forth in this section these 2 categories of practice. If you want to know them in more detail, look in the bodhisattva levels. With respect to the way these practices are done during and after meditative equipoise, the great elder says, the deeds of bodhisattva are the magnificent 6 perfections and so forth. The yogi arisen from meditative equipoise resolutely accomplishes the path of accumulation. The Digson Rimshe Shanti.
Passion na do Rubishiro. Tian Shansalis, Parudo Shimbana, Parudo Shimbanaji,
I read
Dagi, Sanji, Chu, also, Pibashedo. Do you know about Najine? Sentient Taji, also, Pibashedo. Do na, Shanshu Sambanaji, Chunaji, Lene, and Imba River Shaws, Shanshu Sambanyan, Zudo, the Passion to the doing objet, but the Imbala Imbat Shegures, Shebrashavos, Shezos.
So we have from Lord Asanga, Rinpoche went back to this quote, Lord Asanga's Bodhisattva levels, where it says, Rinpoche, the Sheso Shansalung? Sheso Shansalung?
Then, Niga Goba in the Jeba Sheba Dona, Ranju Miji Pajin to the Janju Miji do Mobaji, Jishi Jeba Shag, Doba Yoba Yina, and Shansalta Wures. Remember to make Shansal, Zewasha was.
So in Asanga's Bodhisattva levels, we find the presentation of this, of the necessity of practicing the 4 ways of gathering disciples, coupled with the 6 perfections, in order to achieve maturation of oneself and other beings. The perfections bring to complete maturation the Buddha qualities you will have yourself. The ways to gather disciples bring all living beings to complete maturation, and some know these to be the active expression of a bodhisattva's virtuous qualities. Dene?
I don't know what the teacher. They are go by in the Jeba, Shibandana Shansal Zewashaos, the Dala Nyaji do, Jeta Drubi Tsune, Chu Chembe, Shanju Sembi Shibane,
Okay.
La Chen Paru Shindu So, Nyaja Lambi Nanju Je, and Tsuji Lande, Nabadu, Shesum Batar, Geshe Lharampa, Shansen le tombo wa tsuji lang la neba de nyaji nyega shejang shindu le mandayu shindu la ja do nyaja do jangshin shindu la nyaja do jangshin tela jetu du chante nyaja dan jetu nyegi gozo ranju meje phaji to de janji ngobo tu ngobo je nyane je gugres chante santen je ngo shene dan shira ju ngo latung baji nyaja du gon la sa shene de latung do de nyaja du gon ares chöndu dan nyaji nyega gon la sa chöndu no de nyaja dan ne jeto nyega lyung gres nyega gon la zebi shuji chu somo la neba ngaji ne nyaja dyan jongo chu chenbe nyaja lambi du da do ne jumi beji tabu ne chugun tabu konjebe jeje toba janwa dan taji toba zo sha nyaba jabi du da do shene la do nyaja jin de jin da do gomba sha shezos da nyaja dan je to ni ka lo de nyale je do de shene de la do nyaja go so nyale che gure je to go so nyale che gure
That's so.
what the son is
Okay. Therefore, I have set forth in this section 2 categories of practice. If you want to know them in more detail, look in the Bodhisattva levels. So look at Asanga's text, the Shansa. With respect to the way these practices are done during and after meditative equipoise, the Great Elder says. So here, this is referring to Lord Atisha, who's also called the Great Elder, or Sri Dipankara. The deeds of bodhisattvas are the magnificent 6 perfections and so forth. The yogi arisen from meditative equipoise resolutely accomplishes the path of accumulation. So when in meditation or coming out of meditation, the practice of the 6 perfections is what the practitioner on the path of accumulation is doing. The practice of the 6 perfections. So, as a translator's note, the path of accumulation is the first of the 5 paths, and it's when one generates bodhicitta and becomes a bodhisattva, he or she is on the path of accumulation. So it's saying here that whether they're meditating or they're out of meditation, that's what practitioners are practicing, are these 6 perfections and 4 ways of gathering disciples. Beginning bodhisattvas, who have taken the vows of the conqueror's children and are on the path of accumulation, practice only the 6 perfections, whether in meditative equipoise or subsequent to it. They sustain some of the perfections in meditative equipoise. Is that the right way to say that? Equipoise? Poise? Pose? Equipoise? It's okay? Okay. It's if I'm saying something just incorrect over and over again, please correct me. In meditative equipoise, and others in the post-equipoise state. Some aspects of meditative serenity, which is meditative stabilization, and some aspects of insight, which is the perfection of wisdom, are cultivated in meditative equipoise, whereas some other aspects of meditative stabilization and wisdom are sustained in the post-equipoise state, along with the first 3 perfections. Joyous perseverance occurs in both the meditative equipoise and post-equipoise states, while one type of patience, certain aspects of the patience of certitude about the teaching, profound teaching, also occurs in meditative equipoise. Then again, we have a quote from Atisha, the great elder, and it says, during periods after rising from meditative equipoise, cultivate the view that all things are like a magician's illusion, as in the 8 similes. Therefore, emphasize in post-meditative thought, purification, and the training in method. During periods of meditative equipoise, continually condition yourself to serenity and insight in equal measure. Ngate Sampa Sheso.
Tetabi Sheba Shinto, Medu Shunwa Shakawa, Lumajan be Tubana, Ila Dua Jebanan, Ila Dua Jebanan, Shakawa, what the Lumajamba to Sanlu Tambu Kobi, Ila Majiba Yungures, Dua Jebanan, Shansen Naji, Tambu Nanyasu, Jemenu Jan, Shebershene, and maybe two chendo, Combationes, and the Shaju Zambazu, Tata Nyazulan Manduna, Mahoban Nyazulan, Nuba Shoes and Malatana, Combar Shebe na, Shene, Bebala Mateba, Ranki, Tadala, Lojamba, Dona, Lanabataba Le, Chishindu, Jambisher, then Taiba, Tubales, Kanji Tuba Juna, Jide de la Nuba Jejuna, Kaya Chuni Jejan, Yuri, Junior Euro, Tele, Yuden Tane, Yongon Maji Pewa Kawala, Shezos, that in the Kali Cabinale, Jematukan to the Melodian or Tenjena, and Jemakalekale, what the little rain was, what the smooth is it.
That's good. When bodhisattvas whose mind are untrained in such marvelous but difficult deeds hear them, they feel distressed. Although they are unable to practice such things at first, they come to understand them and then to intimately familiarize themselves with them as objects of aspiration. Later they engage in them spontaneously without any strain. Thus, familiarization is of the greatest importance. For if these bodhisattvas recognized their inability to engage in such deeds and then gave up on even the familiarization conducive to training the mind in them, they would greatly delay reaching the path, the pure path. The praise of infinite qualities says, deeds that hurt the worldly even to hear about, and that even you did not undertake for a long time, you accustom yourself to, so in time they became spontaneous. Thus it is difficult to develop good qualities without familiarization. So through familiarization over and over again, one is able to achieve what is seemingly impossible now because of the familiarization and what that over and over doing that over and over leads to. Again, we translate the word in Tibetan, gom, as meditation, which has a lot of loading into that word as Westerners. But if we look at the etymology of the word, what does the word mean itself when we break it down? The word that we've been translating as meditation all of these years literally means to familiarize, to become more familiar with. If it's single-pointed meditation, you're becoming more familiar with that one object. If it's analytical meditation, you're becoming more familiar with that topic of analysis. So the word gom only means to familiarize over and over, again and again. So that through this good qualities thus it is difficult to develop good qualities without familiarization. We could translate it just as easily as without meditation, and it would mean the same thing, what Tibetans are trying to make us understand meditation is. Digsung Rinpoche.
Da shangchu senpi dongpa zungwa na chi kyang ne londo zungwa la me ne shweba la lobi lo shu bewa na dongpa zungwa na shendo tenpa ju meba sha wos chebi chimbi lang ji rinpa le hensen jangwa dang jese ji shweba che la lobi ne lang ji rinpa she sendo wos da shangchu senpi dongpa Less so.
So once one is a bodhisattva and generates bodhicitta, the mind that aspires to enlightenment, then one from there becomes engaged and practices the 6 perfections in the bodhisattva deeds. So at the point of aspiring bodhicitta, the path of accumulation, the bodhisattva then becomes engaged by taking a bodhisattva vow. And then he or she practices from there. Those who have taken the bodhisattva vow have no choice but to learn the bodhisattva deeds. But even those who have not adopted the engaged spirit of enlightenment through its ritual strive to inculcate a desire to learn the deeds, thus increasing the force of their enthusiasm for learning them. Then, when they take the vows, their vows will be extremely stable. So make an effort to do this. First, from among the stages of the path for persons of great capacity, this concludes the explanation of the stages of the path for training in the aspirational spirit of enlightenment and for learning the deeds of the conqueror's children in general. The Beche Nipatsar. Dene Triwa? Okay, so we're done with now book 2, and Beche Sumba with book 3 we'll start next class. So that's one considered. That section that we're going to get into is considered the most inclusive explanation of special insight and emptiness and so forth, but also considered one of the most difficult. So that should be fun. At least it's not the essence of eloquence. That's considered the most difficult text to ever explain. There was a student who went to his teacher, real quick, and said, "Do you mind if I go to this other teacher's teaching? He's giving a teaching on the essence of eloquence." And his teacher responded saying, "If there's someone who understands that, I'd like to go with you." Who has a question? Any questions?
Jeff, this book, I believe, is written for beings of middling capacity, and we've spent maybe 2 or 3 years on it. And it starts, with basics of, looking what's in your mind, training your mind, and it works up to aspiration of being a bodhisattva. If we were to try and summarize briefly what the focus of this book is, what would its primary focus be?
The book, the whole book?
Yeah.
The whole Lamrim Chenmo.
Right. This one here.
This
The second.
volume?
Yes.
Because the Tibetan's not broken up like that.
Right. Yeah.
So what would be, so this whole, this volume, this whole volume is the beginning of the teachings for beings of great capacity. So I'll start there. The teachings for beings of small and medium capacity have completed. So I'm trying to figure out how to get Rinpoche to explain. Here, just give me 1 second. I know what I can do. Detsuko Rinpoche, Triwa Yure,
Yeah.
Nicha. Okay. Then the NGK, the Becha Nipa, the Gutso.
Okay.
Okay? Then the Cheran Dudu Shena, Ngatsu Becha Nipa, the Puik Becha Chi, NGK Becha Sum. The Becha, the Nipa, the Shanchu Chembi Langi Rimba Le,
Whatever.
Gutso. Then Ngatsu the Tsar.
Okay.
Then the Dudu Shena, Sanlo Garyube. The Dudu Shena,
Karadudu.
Donda. The Leyu Detso, the NGK Becha Nipa, Dudu Shena,
Yeah.
Garishe. Donda Garishe, Dudu She.
다 되는 말들은 다 상대 그 레도 상대 신내다 라동 신내다 레도 공주 데 투데 어디 레도도
Yene, the Yomari, Becha de, Ngama Ngatsu, the Ngatsu Lo Ni Sum, Becha Nipa, Lobjung She Sum. Then Ngatsu Lo Ni Sum, Dudu Shena?
예수도 대신에
Jipu Chembo Lang Gutsogudu.
저 총을라 링을라 저 비침이라다 어디지 나왔다 말베다
The Jipu Chungo dan Jipu Din Lang,
Din-
Becha Tambo, NGK. Becha Nipa dan Sumba, Jipu Chembo Lang.
오케이
Okay. So the way that it would be explained, I had to explain to Rinpoche how the texts are broken down. So that's what I was doing and also asking the question. So the text and the sections are broken down according to the capacities that are being presented. So the entire Lamrim Chenmo is written in a way that it goes from the smallest to the greatest teachings. So it's written in the graduated stages. So the first stage, the second stage, the third stage. The first book contains the teachings for beings of small and medium capacity and some other information. There might be a summary of everything there, but as a main focus, the first book goes into the small and medium capacity. The second and third book go over the teachings for beings of great capacity. And this second book covers the beginning explanation of the teaching for beings of great capacity. So Rinpoche said basically it begins explaining the great vehicle, or the teachings for beings of great capacity, and then here it explains the generalities of it with the bodhisattva aspiring and the deeds and so forth, and then it will get into the more complex information in the third volume of the union of calm abiding and special insight in relation to these great capacity teachings. Digson Rinpoche?
야
Anyone else have a question? Then we can end right at. There's no Rinpoche has company here and kind of a distracting day. Not in a negative way. Interpret that way.
Can you just clarify a sentence you said earlier about that it's only considered a teaching in Buddhism
Sure.
if it includes the teachings on rebirth?
Yeah,
that was the word
sure.
used,
That was a
but-
translator's note.
Okay.
I said, but I will definitely the lapsong jet the Atisha Sumpare the Nampichu Jewa Shema Gutsogdu Nampichu Sonchana the Sanjay Chi the Se de Yomare Jewa Shema then the Dondagare.
Tseshime dendo de ruba de la chus madu tsende denda le jile ka mo do chue de go maru ta tseshima benjile dene tseshima benjile ha da me danzang to bi che do che chung chu taba to bi che do ne la ba song din
Less so.
je saji go mo to bi che do ne shang ju ge sen da shin do du zhe ma ba
Then they Dan Sunsan the Joje the Jewa de Yushu Sumpare
da juan de o de
Yushu Dandrar
da juan de dabaro ta
Sanlo the
jo shima benjile san
lesser. Okay, so Lord Atisha did say exactly that. Lord Atisha said, if it is explaining the things of this life and the ways of gaining happiness and things of this life, then it isn't Dharma. It does not fall categorically under Dharma, meaning what the Buddha presented as Dharma, what Dharma is, until it's focused on future lives, the throwing karma, if you will, for future lives, that which propels you into your future. So it becomes Buddhism when it's explaining that way to propel one into the future in a positive way. So meaning this is why the teachings of three capacities are presented. So the teachings for beings of small capacity is where Buddhism begins, the Dharma begins, and that's showing how to create the throwing karma to be reborn in the higher realms of cyclic existence, how to create those causes and conditions so that one is propelled in one's future lives into the higher realms, not the lower realms. The next level of teachings show how one is propelled into liberation, one's own liberation. And then the final set of teachings show how one is propelled into Buddhahood. So the teachings themselves are not geared towards gaining anything in this life. They're geared towards creating the throwing or propelling karma for future lives. And this is why Lord Atisha said, throw away this life, because the things of this life, the wants and needs and this and that of getting and what we want and don't want of this life are just worldly things, and that it doesn't become Dharma until we're focused on propelling into the future. So that's the meaning of that. Lord Atisha said all of that. Throw away this life, and it doesn't become Dharma until it's focused on. And there's if you just look at any of the commentaries on Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment that are extensive, you'll find it. You'll find it for sure. Sure, absolutely.
I was wondering if Rinpoche knew Thomas Merton.
Okay, and just as a note, all these other things, the good things that happen, people will be attracted to you, in this life, because there does say that stuff. Those are byproducts of your practice that's focused on next life. It's just byproduct. That if you're peaceful and calm, people will be attracted to you. And so it says that in the text. It's a byproduct of your being peaceful and calm so that you're either have a good life next time or nirvana or become a Buddha. That byproduct happened because you were focused on that goal. You weren't focused on the goal of that byproduct. Dees.
So I was just curious, or wondering if Rinpoche knew who.
Thomas Merton.
Merton. Yeah.
Rinpoche, Thomas Merton Lushingdu Ngama when did he die? Kon the Jao Rinpoche's trouble. Kon Yishu Drapa. Tem mambo dharamsala leson. Yene lo nishu sunju sheson, dronson. Yene kedra chempo. Charan tungson.
나 토마소 정원은 뭐지 이슈 개발 뭐 정원은 조건이 레그레스.
Rinpoche doesn't specifically know him, but he said that so many. I said he's a Christian scholar. If I was more specific, he's Trappist monk, right? Rinpoche said that so many Christian monks and scholars came to Dharamsala to visit Dalai Lama all the time, but he doesn't know specifically who Thomas Merton was.
Okay.
But he might have. If you had the dates, if Rinpoche was there in Dharamsala when Thomas Merton was there, Rinpoche was the abbot or a senior teacher, for all of those years. So he would have met with him.
Okay.
But Rinpoche wouldn't remember. It wouldn't have been famous and a big thing for him.
Yeah.
It would have been someone coming to see Rinpoche.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wouldn't be thought of the way we're thinking of it. All right, concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. Yeah, if you could ask Rinpoche if he's, knows like some of these famous people, Pierce Brosnan and so forth, he'd say he has no idea who they are, and he's met them 50 times probably. So these sorts of things just don't jive with. I remember riding on a golf cart, and Rinpoche was sitting in the front, and Richard Gere was like tailing off the back of it, and it just didn't mean a thing. Concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. Holy Lamas high. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well, with whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the three times. I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, the spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Tuji Rimche Gutsi Shapi Denrana. Natsu Lamrim Chenmo Kanga Chironang. Shine Dang Latun Kanga Chironang.